Hi guys, my name is Carrie Chappell, and I will be talking about the future of social media, just like everyone else in this class is. And when I think about trying to predict what I think will happen with social media, I'm reminded of what I thought it would be in the past and what it has become. I think of myself 5 or 10 years ago and my view of social media and my view now. If you would have asked me to predict what it would have become, I would have been honestly probably completely wrong. I remember just like 10 years ago, I didn't even have social media. I'd heard of MySpace, but mostly because my parents were just afraid of it. And then a few years later, I got a Facebook and have continued along the social media path just around the same time as everyone else. But I guess why I bring that up is because these are my guesses that I'll be sharing with you, but they could absolutely be totally wrong. Kind of the same way my guesses from 10 years ago would be completely off. And I think there are a lot of additional variables that social media is affected by cultural happenings, and us as a consumer gets to kind of choose, even if they create something, whether we are going to use it or not. So all of that should be taken into consideration that these are my guesses, even though I might not actually know. All right, so the first thing I think of is live streaming. That was mentioned in multiple of the articles we had to read. But I think live streaming will be used for personal and organizational use as well. And I think we're beginning to see that with our live streaming through Instagram and through Facebook. And even just the fact that organizations that I follow oftentimes post live videos when they have events or other things that they want to show. I think the appeal about live streaming is that it provides this connection to what is actually happening in the day-to-day life of the organization or the person. It also, we can ask real-time questions, which is pretty cool. Someone's live streaming something and you can ask, like I've seen it on makeup tutorials or on hair tutorials of like what brush are you using or what curling iron are you using, and they can ask that in the midst of the video being recorded. So it makes people feel connected and like there's actually an interaction that's happening there. I think one thing that will change though when it comes to live streaming, specifically on Instagram and Facebook, is I think we will expect it to be more, structured and more professional looking, whereas now oftentimes live streaming is just like walking around and talking about what's happening, seeing, and what's being seen around them. I think in the future they'll be more planned out and more purposeful. The same way that I've seen that transition happen with specific Instagram and Facebook posts, I think live streaming will kind of follow suit. The other thing is, it was mentioned that in the articles that Periscope was Twitter bought Periscope, which is a live streaming app. And I was really intrigued by that. I should probably check the year of when that happened because I used Periscope for a couple weeks there. And it was fun for a second, but it wasn't anything that I felt was going to be very sustainable. I think specifically because it wasn't connected to our friends or the people we wanted to interact with. It was just wide open. So I was able to watch live streams of people on the other side of the world, and they were able to watch mine as well. And I don't think that's necessarily what we want with our live streams. So I think specifically live streaming apps will not be a thing, but we will expect the rest of our social medias to have live streaming as a part of it. Next, I think in the next couple years, social media careers will change a lot and will kind of explode. They'll be all over the place. In the Forbes article that we read, it said that 60% of businesses will appoint new executives over digital vision and to drive digital initiatives. I thought that was pretty cool, and I think it's really smart. And I think the businesses that will be the most successful will be the ones that get on this at the beginning of the process, opposed to later in the game when they're just trying to play catch up. But I think the cool aspect of that is that oftentimes, like that could be us as communication professionals, those that are studying and understand social media can end up with a seat at the table with everyone else, driving the perceptions or being aware of the perceptions that people have of us as an organization, and how communication is absolutely part of that. I think along with that, even if we're just a social media manager position, that will be growing and changing and becoming more important and making more money, which is awesome. And there'll be manager positions because you'll have teams of social media. And again, this depends on the organization that you're a part of, but our jobs will be changing, and it's a good time to be a part of this change. It's really awesome that we're learning about this right now, specifically because in the next couple of years, we will have the opportunity to change things and make things the way we want them. So it's a good time to be studying communications, and specifically social media. We all like to make fun of mommy bloggers, but I think that they have something going for them there. I think we'll see more mommy bloggers, and I think it will kind of change the face of marketing as a whole. We all see, especially in Utah, it's like a thing that we have a lot of bloggers, and they will have sponsored posts all the time, sponsored Insta stories, sponsored tweets, everything to sell product, and it works. People are buying what mommy bloggers and other bloggers and other Instagram famous people are selling, and so I think that will change in the entirety, will change the face of what marketing is and how people learn about and understand like their products that they are buying. I think as communication professionals, it's important for us to remember to stay relevant in social media. I had a coworker, and he doesn't work in social media, but he's 10 years older than me, and he didn't even understand how to watch Instagram stories on his Instagram. It was actually pretty funny. And he's really high up in this organization, but he didn't understand these basics. And he's not that much older than me, so it made me realize that to lose track of social media, it can happen really fast, and it's our job to stay relevant to social media. And I think that's why it's important for us to learn how to learn. We have to learn how to learn social media. I think you have to learn how to learn specific topics, and it's important that we're staying relevant, because there will be people that are younger than us that will understand social media since the time they were born, and we can't let them pass us up. So it's our job to stay educated on the topic. All right, the next thing I think of is wearable technology. We've already seen that Apple Watches are huge right now, and I think that's just the beginning. The reason for that is because we have technology with us all the time. We have our phone with us all the time. And so why not make that technology a little bit more convenient and make it wearable? I also think the other drive behind it is it's able to track your heart rate and how many steps you've taken and those sort of things. And if it seems to be improving our lives, and so we want it to be a part of what we're doing. I think along with that, health apps and health technology will continue to progress. I personally have an app that on my phone that will track how many steps I've taken, and I have competitions with my coworkers to see who's taking the most steps in a day. And it's really fun, and it motivates me to be healthy. So I think that's something that we're just seeing the very, very beginnings of. So I even had a coworker who said that maybe one day we'll have like contact lenses that we'll put in our eyes and be able to watch our social media in that capacity, or see our world through a social media lens. And I don't know, that sounded a little bit extreme to me, but it definitely could happen. And if not that, then other wearable technology, other things that help us connect in a more convenient, easier way. The other thing that will be changing is the models of our organization, specifically talking about IT. They will be the ones that are expected to create and responsible for revenue. They will be a huge part of those business executives with a digital vision. IT people will have to make those visions happen. And so their job will become more demanding and more important for an organization. Lastly, I think social media will change because we are the guinea pigs. We're the generation that's kind of figuring what it means to be social media generation, and I think we see positives with that, but I think we also see a ton of negatives. And I hope that as organizations are and people are creating social media and choosing what social media to use, we remember that oftentimes there's definitely a negative comparison culture, and mental health, negative mental health is on the rise. So we should be aware that with our social media, we need to listen to ourselves and talk about the issues that we have so that it can be changed in a way for us to succeed, and so it can be used as a tool. It's a tool to help us connect with others and to become better, because that's all what we want it to be. And so, anyway, those are just a few of my predictions, but again, I could be totally wrong, but I'm definitely excited to see where social media goes.